Welcome to the FOMO show about TV technology and home theater news. This week's headline starts with Sony winning the King of TVs shootout again, beating out the best TVs money can buy, all of them costing over $3,000. But can you get this level of performance at half the price? Yes, I think there is one TV that can do that, and I'll tell you why. Speaking of OLED TVs getting even better, it looks like the highly anticipated blue phosphorescent OLED emitter will not be available for TVs until much later. We're talking 2027. But for the sake of argument, could LG have won this year's shootout if it had access to this new blue emitter? And Dolby is suing Roku for not paying licensing fees. Oh no, are you going to lose Dolby Vision? Actually, I think it's far worse. This has to do with AC3 compression, otherwise known as Dolby Digital. Roku, what's happening? We're going to talk about that craziness today as well, and so much more on today's FOMO show.
Today's video is brought to you by WhoKeys. Trying to build a PC on a budget but don't know where to buy your Windows software cheaply? WhoKeys to the rescue. Use my coupon code SF20 and immediate discount with a free upgrade to Windows 11.
At the bottom of this order where it says code card, to the right is the product key you need to activate Windows. So copy this long number, then go to the Windows menu and click on Settings. In the Settings menu at the bottom, select Update and Security. Select Activation, then select Change Product Key, paste what you copied from WhoKeys, click Next, click Activate, and you're done.
You can buy Windows 11 Pro or Office 2019 Pro with my discount code SF20. Yes, I've been using WhoKeys for the last several years on my own PC builds, and it just works.
Roku, you did it again. You made it into the news. Let's see, at the beginning of the year, it was this massive data breach, and then it was this weird, secretive terms of condition update. And then recently you had a TV update where your TVs suddenly became soap opera only, right? It's a motion update where your TV could only play in a soap opera effect. You couldn't disable it. And people are like, wait, what happened? This month, Dolby filed a lawsuit against Roku for not paying the bill. Specifically, there is a Dolby technology that apparently Roku has been using and not paying Dolby for the pleasure. And I know you're asking, wait, which technology is this? Is it Dolby Vision? Now, I've posted the complaint that was filed and linked it in the video description below so you can read it and take your time. But I did read through it and I wanted to find out, okay, what's the technology that Roku is using and not paying Dolby for, because we just assumed it was Dolby Vision. It doesn't appear to be Dolby Vision. So for those of you concerned, oh no, am I going to lose Dolby Vision? You're not. But it could be worse. You're going to lose audio. And I don't think you're going to lose audio either. Ultimately, it's how much Roku will pay Dolby if it is found that any of these allegations are true, meaning that Roku is using Dolby technology and not paying. So specifically, audio compression technology. What's audio compression technology? So when you have audio, right, you can record it in many ways, but no matter what, when you record high quality audio, let's say the file size is this big, but if you stream this size file and there's like millions of people streaming, this large file size adds up. And so Dolby developed a way to compress, right, that to a smaller file size. And with multi-channel audio, meaning Atmos, 5.1, you got 5 channels around you, surround, plus a subwoofer channel. That's a lot of audio. So they had to find a way to effectively compress it, and AC3 does the trick. It's called AC3, but you guys probably know it as Dolby Digital, Dolby Digital Plus, or Dolby Digital Atmos, right? So these variations of Dolby Digital or AC3 are all compressed, lossy audio, which is very important in streaming. So anytime you receive streaming, it's never going to be lossless, right? Those of you saying, oh, I want eARC because it has lossless audio. If it's coming from your TV and your TV is streaming it from Netflix or Disney Plus, it's not lossless. Now, Bravia Core may be closer to lossless than everyone else because I know Bravia Core is very focused on high quality, high bit rate, right? They don't care about compression as much as giving you the highest quality. So, the Sony Movie Pictures Core is probably using a higher quality, probably, could be wrong. But the reality is most streaming platforms wants to reduce that file size, that bit rate, and they are using Dolby Digital or Dolby Digital Plus or Dolby Digital Atmos, right? AC3 is that core technology. And so what Dolby is alleging is Roku is incorporating Dolby's technology and playing with this AC3 in a way that's not allowed unless Roku pays them a fee. So the facts need to be proven. These are all allegations. That means from Dolby's point of view, they think these things happen, but they still have to prove it. And so we're also waiting for Roku's answer. And of course, Roku is going to say, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. And ultimately, we're going to talk about two things. First, how does this impact consumers? It shouldn't impact you at all, I think. First, if you already have these devices, don't worry about it. There's no way I think they're going to turn off the audio. I mean, then they're going to face a class action lawsuit from Roku customers. So they're not going to turn off your audio. They're going to write a big check. Now, moving forward, though, Roku products will cost a little bit more because if they haven't been paying the licensing fees before and now they are, well, that's going to go into the cost of that product. Again, allegations, right? We're assuming that Roku is not paying for these licenses as alleged by Dolby. But if they're already paying for it, then prices probably won't change. But if Dolby's allegations turn out to be true, then Roku will have to update their pricing structure to take into account these licensing fees moving forward. So as how it affects consumers of current Roku products, I don't think it affects you much. Now, what is more interesting to me is how did this happen? So we're going to speculate, purely fictional, hypothetical, what could have happened to get us to this point. Like 9 years later, there's a lawsuit. How could Roku have let things fall apart, assuming the allegations are true, right? Assuming that what Dolby said, hey, you guys took our stuff and didn't pay for it for the last 9 years. Like, Roku is a major company, right? They were founded in 2002 by Anthony Wood, and he's still the CEO. They make $3 billion a year. That's their revenue, I think, in 2023, right? Over $3 billion. That's not chump change. This is a major company with major quality control, engineering, oversight. That's all in place. How did this $3 billion company, annual revenues, how did this fall between the cracks? Based on the allegations, right? Still being alleged. Nothing's been proven. But assuming those allegations, if it turns out to be true, how did this happen? Okay, so in 2015, Dolby and Roku got together and signed a contract called an interoperability agreement where Roku is saying, look, we're the middleware, right? We're Roku OS. And so this interoperability agreement does two things. Dolby gives Roku all the software, all the code, everything it needs to check for compatibility with its Roku OS. And on the other hand, though, it is not allowed to incorporate any of Dolby's software magic. Now, what Dolby is saying is, hey, turns out you have been incorporating our AC3 compression technology all this time and haven't paid us. And they attempted to find out whether or not it was done. And Roku said, no, you're not allowed to audit our books, look at the devices sold, and you're not allowed to examine our code to see if your code is in there. And Dolby is like, wait a minute, we have the right to. And they're alleging that Roku is not allowing them to do the audits. And so they filed this lawsuit to find out to what extent there's a violation. So for all we know, it could only maybe be a month's worth of devices or a year's worth of devices. So now we go to the scenario, the fictional scenario, the hypothetical, what could have happened to get to this point. If at some point, right, this is what I think, they have all the code because Dolby shared everything needed to check compatibility. There is some engineer, some up-and-coming software guy who wants to impress his bosses, and he sees it sitting on the table. Oh, look, here's Dolby code. Why don't we take this AC3 Dolby Digital stream and do it ourselves? It's so much faster, right? So however it happens, it's in there now. If you don't check whether or not it's in there, it's going to stay in there, and it's going to do its thing 1 year after the next. Then one day, Dolby comes knocking. Hey, we think you're using our AC3 compression technology somewhere in your code, right? You're doing some decompression. You're doing something. And you're using our software to do it, and you're not paying us a fee. And Roku's like, that's not possible. And then, they check, and then the poor sap who's doing his inspection is like, uh-oh. Sadly, those of you anxiously awaiting for blue phosphorescent OLED to replace the current fluorescent OLED will continue to wait because it just doesn't last as long. Now, the dream, the anticipation is that blue phosphorescent OLED is better than blue fluorescent OLED, right? It has better image quality. It makes everything better, but unfortunately, it doesn't last as long. So I guess it's not better, is it? Now, red and green is already phosphorescent OLED. Blue is the only one left. How long and when? Well, we were expecting it this year for testing. So UDC, the maker of blue phosphorescent OLED, is delaying the sale of this blue until they can verify that this is going to last long enough to be in consumer products. And as I've said before, the first consumer products using this new blue won't be TVs, right? It'll be probably cell phones and tablets and the like. But after that, once they've seen how it works on the smaller devices, they may expand and use it on TVs, but maybe Samsung will come up with it first. Samsung is also looking at the blue phosphorescent OLED. And as far as LG Display, or LG Electronics in this case, they lost the shootout, as we all know, the LG G4. Would they have done better if they had access to a stable, good blue phosphorescent OLED? And I don't think so, and this is why. WOLED, it's the W that is the weak link in the LG G4. That white subpixel is what's causing the color dilution, and we think it's from the actual white subpixel. So if you replace the white subpixel, now if the blue phosphorescent OLED allows us to replace the white subpixel with something better, having a blue phosphorescent OLED but still having the W, the white subpixel, won't make a difference. The G4 would have to replace that white subpixel altogether with a completely different stack of technologies. So, and how many of you caught the 2024 King of TV shootout? It was a few weeks ago, wrapped up. We have a winner. It's the Sony A95L, but it was actually closer than it appeared. All three of these contenders, Sony A95L, the G4, and the S95D, the Samsung TV, right? They're all great TVs. They all cost over $3,000 currently, and maybe by Black Friday, a little bit below $3,000 at best, but around $3,000. What if you want this quality, right? One of these three TVs, and you can't afford it, but you can afford $1,500. Then we got to get into the TV that performs so close to the king of TVs without breaking the bank, and that is definitely the Samsung S90C. Still available. It is last year's TV. That 77-inch was my editor's choice. No longer available. The 77-inch is sold out. 65-inch is still available. It shares more with the A95L than you guys think. Specifically, it's a QD-OLED TV, right? Bright, punchy, huge color luminance, great color volume, same panel technology as the Sony A95L. But my only question for you is whether $1,500 is cheap enough, affordable enough for a 65-inch TV. Do you need to go lower? But let me know in the comments below. What TV review are you looking forward to seeing next? The Hisense U7N, TCL QM7? Until next time, stop the FOMO.